Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here on this Monday, August 14th, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. Now, just for a minute or two, I'm going to talk about something I'm interested in, something I'm fascinated in. You know, we are going through a period of climate change in the world, and it's affecting crops greatly. And, as also, there's we're going through a period where uh, fuel prices are going to explode to the upside. Uh, Saudi Arabia has the Western world, because of their need for oil, they have them by the short hairs. And what's that going to mean? That's going to mean you're gonna pay whatever they want you to pay. Fuel consumption and helps environment. What about the environment here? When we're talking about all these trucks on the highway, how can this be improved for fuel economy? And there's something that's very important that I've been working on in my mind is percentages between tires. Tires might seem like a small thing, but you ever seen a BMX rider or a mountain bike rider? Young guy, he's on a bike, right? His back wheel, what takes most of the front wheel is not near as much weight and pressure on the front wheel of his tire. But his back wheel, they'll go up a big hill and they'll come down that hill. And they'll hit the bottom down there. And that tire only weighs about 5 pounds. And it'll take all that force. Now, that's compounding force. Did you know that a 16-ounce hammer can apply thousands of pounds of force because it's impact force? Impact force is different than regular weight, like it's on a truck tire. Impact force, it only happens for a moment, but it can be incredible amounts of pressure. And how can that little, what's getting me in my mind is how can that little 5-pound tire take the impact force of a maybe 150-pound young guy coming down a 40-foot hill and landing on top of that thing, and it doesn't break it. It handles it. That impact force would be, I don't know, probably 30,000 pounds on that little 5-pound tire. Now, even not considering impact force, those tires can take a tremendous amount of weight. One of those little 5-pound tires can hold, I don't know, probably before it would have failure, it would probably hold 1,000 pounds. Now, if you were to take that 1,000 pounds and that 5 pounds the tire weighs and do the math between what weight it's carrying percentage-wise to the weight of the item itself, tremendous. But what about the big truck tires? Yeah, I know that they can carry a lot more, but they also have an awful lot more friction against the road. And so these kind of formulas are going through my mind, and I'm thinking about them. And my mind is doing the equations, the math. It's already done a certain amount of the math, but I want to get down to the nitty-gritty of this because this is something that's very interesting, and I'm also interested in the application of these. This is old technology. It's technology from the 1930s, and it's what they used to have on cars and stuff, was these old spoked rims. And how powerful a spoked rim can be versus a steel rim. And it's interesting to me. I just wanted to let you guys some of the things that go through my mind, Anyway, in Maui, in Hawaii, not long ago, they had an alert come on their phones. Nuclear strike, whatever. From what I understand, Jim Carrey was one of the people that were there during that nuclear thing, and he thought he was going to die. He said his prayers or whatever. Say your prayers. And a lot of other people, too. An emergency service carried it to their phones, and it did it wonderfully well to frighten all these people nearly to death with something that turned out to be a false alarm. But now, all of a sudden, they got a real thing that comes along. This dangerous. And what did the phones do? Well, it says Maui wildfire survivors are decrying the lack of warnings as the death toll rises. Some residents refuse to vacate towns burned down to the ground, citing fear that they will not be able to return. The death toll is rising. Uh, it says, I'm not going to make any excuses for this tragedy. Anyway, from what I heard, that the phone service was inadequate. So they gotta start working on this. I mean, when people aren't going to believe a thing the phone tells them in the end. If they don't give a warning when they really should give a warning, and they give a massive warning when they shouldn't give a real massive warning, that's not going to instill confidence in this warning system on the telephones and stuff. You want to instill confidence, you got to tell the people straight when there's a real warning and real danger. Then the people will listen to you. Now, what else did I have here to talk about? I wanted to show you guys this. Excuse me. Have you ever seen anything like this before? This guy was driving along. He stopped at a light. And this bird came down, landed on his windshield. He couldn't get the bird to go away. He put it up to 60 miles an hour, and the bird was just loving it. More, faster, Daddy, faster. And the bird stayed there, and the bird flew along with him, and the bird was really enjoying the ride. And it was an incredible sight. I don't know, maybe I could start this for a second here and just see what happens. Ain't that something? Anyway, I just figured I'd show that to you guys. Now, you remember the other day I did a show on these drones, these tiny little drones that effectively can act as like a little mechanized army and fly through the air. These little killer drones, these tiny little drones. Well, they just used a swarm of them in Ukraine. The exact ones probably are very similar to the ones that I was talking about on my show. And it says it just knocked out one of the Russians' 9 remaining Terminator vehicles. Now, you see, here's the Russians driving on their Terminator vehicle. And you can see them sitting up there, Evidently, now it just stands to reason, that the drones probably couldn't penetrate that armor. So how did they take it down? Well, it's more than likely they took it down by the drones got the operators. Because I doubt those tiny drones could have penetrated the armor of that thing. But the operators, remember I told you it has facial recognition? It can just come in and bang, 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 and the operators are gone. And then you've taken out the machine, basically, if it's got no operators. That's probably how they did it. So it just happened. It's happened. And it says a swarm of tiny Ukrainian drones. So evidently they're using this technology. And that was in Forbes magazine. So it's not like I'm quoting you something that's not a real news article. I found it this morning, 4 people dead and 1 missing after explosion destroys 3 crushed structures in Pennsylvania. This was a massive explosion in Pennsylvania. Absolutely massive. But I noticed this in the news. This is in the news today about this explosion in Pennsylvania. It's one of the big news stories. Massive explosion. Boom. But what I noticed is this. It says, cause of Plum house explosion could take months or years to find, authorities say. It says 5 people, 4 adults, 1 child died in a massive house explosion in Plum on Saturday. Brought Police Chief Larry Connolly said in a news conference Sunday that none of the victims from the incident that destroyed 3 houses and damaged scores of others in a Rustic Ridge Drive have been officially identified. The family members concluded from the two of the victims, so and so. Anyway, what I'm getting at here is what's getting me about this is, and you know, my heart goes out to the families of whatever happened here. I don't know what happened, and they don't know what happened. And that's what gets me is they don't know what happened. It says it could take years or months to find. I've never heard of anything like this before. If there's a big explosion in a house or something, they always come forward the next day and they'll say, oh, well, it was propane tanks that caused it, or it was a gas leak that caused it, or they always know, or it was we found accelerants or whatever. They always know. What's this, what they don't know? Are they trying to cover something up? Did space aliens come along and blow the house up? I don't know. What in the hell's going on with this? How is it they don't know what caused an explosion of that size? That's impossible to me. Unless something weird's going on with this. Just saying. Just saying. Now, talk about something weird. Okay? You ought to get into something weird. Well, you remember the situation I had it on my show about what happened in Las Vegas with the UFOs and the aliens, these big tall aliens. And they got pictures of them and everything in Las Vegas. And the police were so upset that night they didn't know what to do. But then there was a bit of a cover-up or whatnot. Well, guess what? It's starting to happen again. Villagers in Peru are claiming attacks by a 7-foot-tall face-peeling aliens. They got pictures of them. Several pictures been coming through from these things that are happening in Peru that are high strangeness. So it seems like they're tall. That's the thing about them. And you know, where was it in Russia a few years back? There was a very famous incident of these tall aliens. I think it was Brezhnev or something like that. One of these, Veronia or something like that it was called. It was quite a few years ago. It happened in Russia, and they said that they're like 9-foot tall aliens. They landed in a park in broad daylight. A big park where there's hundreds of people around in Russia. And this was a sighting that was witnessed by so many people, it was amazing. And amazing. Back in Russia. You know, I mean, we could ignore all this evidence and say, they're all drinking. Or what are they all on? What are they smoking? We could say. Right? And ignore it. Or we could start to fit these cases together, even though these cases come from different parts of the world. Well, of course they come from different parts of the world. The aliens can move really fast. Anyway, I just figured I'd throw that in. But here's the thing, guys. We're going to take a look at the markets now and see what's going on with the markets. Dollar's really strong right now, guys. Taking a look at the silver price today. $22.52. It's down 13 cents. It had a little bit of a flash crash sort of thing there where it went down to like... They probably bought up a whole bunch. So see, I think that's what they're doing right now is they drive the price down as low as they can get it to go. And then they'll come in and then they grab some physical while it's cheap. You can see physical silver is the most vulnerable part of the entire world's financial system. Because I don't know how much is left out there, but I can tell you it's not a lot. But they're not going to let you know that. It's such a small market. That's why the Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market years and years ago. So the silver price today is at $22.52. Taking a look at gold. Gold is at $19.08. It's down $4.20. Now taking a look at cryptocurrencies today, we can see Bitcoin at 29,460. Ethereum at 1,848. And XRP is at 62.9 cents. So, you know, I'm going to tell you guys, if I was going to invest in crypto for the first time ever, just what I would do is I would see all these coins down here. Look, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Look, I'm scrolling the page. Thousands of them. I wouldn't, if I was investing in cryptos for the first time, I wouldn't mess with all those coins. I would just mess with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and possibly XRP, and I would just stay away from all the rest of the stuff, you know. Or at least stay within the confines and stay the top 20 or whatever. And it wouldn't go way down the list like that. And your safest, if you're going to invest in cryptocurrency, probably your safest is Bitcoin itself. You know? Taking a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average today, 35,254. It's down 27 points on the day so far. Crude oil, $82.67. So, this is what it does. It breaks into new territory. Crude oil. It breaks into new territory. So, I mean, this is how it creeps up. It was down like 69, 68, and then it broke into like 70s, and it was in the 70s, like 71, 72 for just a little while, bounced around there in the low 70s, and then zoom up to the 80s. And now it's in the 80s, and it'll bounce around for a little while in the low 80s. And then zoom, 90. That's what it's doing. Sad to say, because you're going to see it at the pump. Bonds and rates today. Now the yields were falling, were rising on the whole thing, but now it's changed direction on the 20 and 30 year. We're looking at the U.S. 10 years at 4.17. It's up 1 basis point, and the U.S. 30 years at 4.268 or 4.26, and it's down 0.4 of 1 basis point. Now we're taking a look at the U.S. dollar index today, and it's at really riding high and strong. The dollar right now is at 103.16. It's never been able to crack 104 yet during this, what the Fed's doing. I'll just call it what the Fed's doing. You know, their tightening thing that they're doing, which is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's not going to stop inflation. It's just going to destroy the economy, and then they're going to have to turn around. When they turn around, wow, then the inflation's really going to roar back, I'll tell you. And they'll have to turn around eventually. But we're just waiting and seeing how far they can progress forward with this before they're forced to turn around and go back. Kind of like watching somebody, and they're going down some road where they're heading toward destruction. And you're like, oh, they'll be back. They'll be back. You know, anyway, guys, thank you for listening to my show. Like and subscribe. And give me that thumbs up. That's important to my channel. Comment is important to my channel. Subscribe is important to my channel. Hitting that notification icon is important to my channel. And thank you very much for all those things. You guys are awesome. And we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye.